What's up, people? It's Wednesday. It was a rainy day in Texas. Speaking of Texas, we saw Hell or High Water, which is bar none one of the best movies of the year. And I really hope I get to keep saying that, because it feels like it's getting better and better.
Yeah, this has been a very mediocre summer. There's not been that many great movies.
There's been a lot of dumpster fires.
This movie was fun as shit.
This movie is badass.
Yeah.
I was telling him, it does for Westerns what 3:10 to Yuma, There Will Be Blood, and No Country for Old Men did for the 2000s. This is for the 2010s.
It's hilarious. The characters are awesome.
This is the best script of the, like,
yeah, the dialogue is amazing.
This movie made me start thinking Oscar stuff.
Yeah.
Like oh god, I'm still decisive between Ben Foster or Jeff Bridges for Best Supporting Actor, but Taylor Sheridan needs to get, I think, the Best Original Screenplay, because holy shit, every bit of this was on point.
As always, we're gonna be doing some spoilers, so this is hopefully gonna be an early review depending on what time Daniel edits it and puts it out.
I've got 5 videos backed up, by the way. I'm stuck writing Secret Life of Pets.
Yeah,
shit.
So regardless, regardless if it's early or not.
When is this movie coming out, do you know?
I believe it's August 12th.
I got a couple weeks, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Y'all won't give a shit till after Suicide Squad to watch this anyway.
I'll say that obviously we both really enjoyed this movie, so I would recommend not getting any spoilers or anything and going back to this point in the video, and we will give you our non-spoiler thoughts on the movie and our scores out of 6.
This movie stars Chris Pine and Ben Foster as, the Howard brothers?
I believe so.
Yeah, Howard brothers. Pine plays Toby, the little one, and Ben Foster plays Tanner, the older one. Toby has kind of lived his life straight-laced, you know, he's gotten a divorce and he's worked on
He's trying to take care of his 2 kids.
Yeah, he's trying to take care of his kids and child support. And Tanner, the older one, is just a fucking wildfire personified. He just broke out of jail. He's a professional bank robber. This movie has post-bailout, post-recession anger up the fucking ass. Director David Mackenzie is not shy about showing foreclosure signs, fast cash now, for sale stuff. This entire movie takes place in a place where people are losing their homes and more of like a surviving.
Right. And what I liked about it is he had dealt with those themes, but I don't think they ever undermined, like, the story. Like, we talked about, like, Money Monster earlier this year. Money Monster was so in your face with the, like, the sort of political...
With the fuck the banks message.
Yeah.
And even The Big Short, too. And The Big Short was done great.
Yeah, The Big Short was one of the best movies of last year. And that was kind of the point of the movie, was to be exposing that. Whereas this, they used that as sort of it was definitely in the movie, but I never felt like that was more important than the characters. Probably the best part of this movie is the characters, the combination of the amazing screenplay and then the performances by the 4 main actors, who were all absolutely excellent.
I was saying that Star Trek Beyond was Pine's best work, and then I come a couple days later, I'm like, shit, this is Chris Pine's best work ever. When you give Chris Pine one of the best screenplays of the year, he works it, and he works every angle of this guy who at his heart is trying to do something great, but he also can find himself swayed by his brother to kind of like let loose and have a little bit of fun. His chemistry with Foster is incredible. Like,
man, it's amazing. And I saw these 2 earlier this year in film called The Finest Hours, which I don't know if you saw.
I never saw Finest Hours.
I liked Finest Hours a lot. An interesting on-screen sort of pairing there. And then seeing them again in this movie. I think these guys, I want to see these guys do more movies together, because they have such a great on-screen chemistry and they were so believable as brothers.
Was Ben Foster kind of like a wild child, like ready to I swear to God, there was one point in this movie where I thought Foster was gonna like give Pine a purple nurple. Like, that seems like something his character would do. Foster is just given a character that is constantly on edge and is like ready to like fuck a hotel clerk at any minute's notice.
He sort of has this I don't give a fuck attitude, but when he gets intense, he is like on.
These brothers are robbing banks, but they're not robbing the hundreds, which are marked. They are only stealing the cash, 5, 10s, and 20s, and the way they get this cash is they go to the casino and put it as chips, casino chips, And then, you know, Ben Foster gambles with it a little bit, and then they go swap it back out after a couple hours, a couple beers, and shots of whiskey.
It's a cool plot for a movie. Like
it actually is really cool.
Yeah, it's like not your standard heist movie at all.
It fits with that Texas setting.
Yeah.
That everybody goes to Oklahoma to gamble, and I could have sworn they were shooting at the WinStar over at
That's what I kind of thought it was. Like, I wasn't sure, but
there was an external shot when they were leaving the casino, and I could kind of see how it would make sense, but I don't know for sure. What Ben Foster does is he plays poker, and there's this Comanche Indian guy at the table with like shades on and the longest hair, and he looks like a badass. He kind of looks like Danny Trejo, but like 40 years younger, 150 pounds heavier, and cleaned up a bit. Tanner's giving this guy shit, and the guy like
he kind of stands up and
he kind of stands up and like strikes a pose, and Foster is kind of staring him down, and the guy's like, you know what Comanche means? It means enemies forever, and we're enemies of everyone. And Foster's just kind of like staring him down, and so Foster's like, you know what that makes me? He goes, an enemy? No, a Comanche.
And what was amazing about that scene is like the beginning of the scene when the guy gets up, I was like, oh shit, he's gonna beat the shit out of Ben Foster.
And then Ben Foster's gonna try and beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, and then you at that end, it's like, and then Foster gives such like, there's such an intensity in his performance, but he's so calm. It is awesome. It is one of the most badass things I have seen all the
That is one of the, that's also a credit to the screenplay, because before this, Foster is jangly, he's fucking drunk off his ass.
Right.
And, you know, he's a goofball. But as soon as that guy says enemies forever, you can see it in Foster's head, where that's all you need to know about this character. If you take away nothing from this film, that scene tells you everything you need to know about Tanner Howard. He has struggled his entire life. He fucking shot his dad just because he was tired of his shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, they alluded to at the beginning that he had abused them.
Well, the father was abusive, but it's one of those things where, like, Tanner is literally against the world, and the only, like, somewhat beacon of hope is his brother and his brother's family.
A lot of this movie is just, you know, them in the car talking, or them in a different place talking, and it's one of those movies, like, if it wasn't a tight screenplay, or it wasn't, the actors weren't as committed, it would have been really boring. They're so in character, and they're so obviously, and that the screenplay is so brilliant, and the way it sort of breaks down the elements of the characterization, that it's really...
I brought up No Country for Old Men, and now that I'm kind of reflecting on it, this is pretty much a Neo-Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah.
The dialogue is tight.
The humor is dark.
The humor is very dark, but the story's really loose.
Yeah.
There's a premise, but the story is more content to live among these characters and hang out. The side characters in this movie are fucking fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of similarities to Fargo, I would say.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a scene in this movie where Jeff Bridges and his partner, played by, we're putting the name here.
Okay, we're assholes. We don't know this guy's name, but this guy was awesome.
Yeah, I know.
He was really good in this movie.
And he was playing Jeff Bridges' partner, who's half Native American and half Mexican. The entire movie, by the way, Jeff Bridges is teetering this close to like full-on Trump levels of racism. He's just giving him so much shit, and you'd think that Jeff Bridges would run out of Indian/Mexican jokes, but he keeps on coming. It's West Texas, so everybody's got a gun, everybody's got a truck, and everybody's got a shiner box.
Yeah, if you thought American Sniper had an interesting crowd. What?
Shit, man.
Hell of high water.
But that's the thing, I don't think this crowd's coming in with that kind of mentality. But
yeah, they're just going to see like an interesting movie, and it
just happens to use Texas as its own character, and
it doesn't
love it.
And it doesn't pander to the crowd either.
Just as much as the citizens pull out their own shotguns and pistols, there's a scene where Ben Foster's got an AR-15, and they all take off running for the hills. Like, it's obvious that as soon as he pulls out that assault rifle, they're fucked.
Mm-hmm. I'm also gonna say, I know we don't want to switch to like go around too much, because there's a lot of awesome parts of the movie. My favorite scene in the movie is there's a scene where they're getting gas, and
yes.
Ben Foster's in the car. He's kind of like fucking with this guy. Like, this guy calls he sends Chris Pine inside to go get a
Dr. Pepper, instant lats.
to get a Dr. Pepper.
Because of course.
This guy pulls up, he's like playing music, and he's like, "What are you doing, man? What do you stop? Why are you looking at me?"
Not just any music. He's playing the worst kind of like blood on the dance floor scene core / rap bullshit.
Yeah.
He's driving this fancy ass shit green car.
Yeah, and he pulls out a gun, and he's kind of hanging it over like the window like a douchebag, and then Chris Pine comes behind him, and like he grabs him, he like slams him down on the window, and just like beats the shit out of him, and it is so funny. Like, I was dying laughing because, and then he goes around to the other side of the car to mess with like the other guy who was in the car with him, with the other guy. He's like, he what did he say?
He had it coming.
He had it coming. He had it coming.
Shit, I swear to God, he actually hit his head against the door, because whenever you look, like, Chris Pine grabs this dude and bashes him against the door. I swear to God, there's a blood spot and a dent. Just hard punches too, and that's also a credit to the sound mixing, because shit, like, I swear to God, Chris Pine actually took this actor and beat the shit out of him. I love how that scene ends too.
Yeah.
And this is a credit to how Texan this movie is.
Yeah.
Where they pull away from the gas station. They've just crossed the border to Oklahoma, and so they drive away, and he goes, "What the hell? This ain't a Dr. Pepper?" I'm like, "Yeah, they only had Mr. Pibb."
Yeah.
Any Texan out there, once you cross Oklahoma, you're fucked. There's no way in hell you're gonna find yourself a Dr. Pepper. I found Dr. Pepper. I fell in love with Dr. Pepper living in Florida for 7 years. But once you cross in Oklahoma, never. I'm talking like Twinkies in Zombieland level of obscurity to find a fucking Dr. Pepper.
The way that they represent Texas in this movie, because like, so we both live in Dallas, and just there's so many nuances like that, you know, like the Dr. Pepper thing, that like I feel like they definitely did their research with this movie.
Let's go back. I was talking about Jeff Bridges and his partner, in a scene with the greatest side character in the movie. They go to a they go to a restaurant to have dinner. They go the famous T-Bone Cafe, it says on the outside. And as soon as you walk in, it's fucking dead. This elderly woman who is the waitress, and she goes, "All right, how are y'all doing? We're doing all right. All right. What don't you want?" What? It's like, "What don't you want?" I was like, and Jeff Bridges has this perfect, "What in the fuck?" And she goes, "I've been waitressing for 45 years. And in 45 years, ain't no one ordered nothing but a T-bone steak and a baked potato. Except this one fella from New York tried to order trout. We ain't got no goddamn trout."
I love how you've got this already memorized.
No, it's one of the best, like, scenes in the entire year.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. We ain't got no goddamn trout, and that was in 1987. Do you not want the corn on the cob? Or don't you want the green beans? He goes, "I don't want the green beans." His partner's like, "I don't want that either." He says, "All right, 2 T-bone steaks, medium rare. Can I get my medium?" And then she just glares at him. I was looking at the name of this woman, I forgot, and I'm gonna put it right there, because goddamn, ma'am, thank you. I'm personally thanking you for one of the best fucking scenes I've seen all year.
The cinematography, there's a great variety to it. There's not a lot of quick cuts. There's a lot of long takes.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Because it's a slower movie.
Yeah.
And you'd think that even the big shootout, it's realistic in the way that if you were watching news on TV, it would look like this.
Right. Like, or if you've ever seen like a police video or something like that.
Yeah. This is the kind of movie where people are dead fucking broke. Everyone's mad at the banks for, you know, giving them shitty loans and fucking them up on their deals and shit. Even Jeff Bridges' partner, after a while, he just sits there, he's like, "Man, you know who's really robbing from these people? That bank right there."
Yeah.
Like, Jeff Bridges is talking to 3 guys in a restaurant, and they're like, "I've been here for 30 years, and the biggest people stealing are that bank right there." The movie, I don't think, ever gets as far as to really condone what Chris Pine and Ben Foster are doing.
it's more of like that gives them their motivation. It's like, we're not saying that this is what you should do or if they were moral, but there is definitely a reason for why they did this.
Jeff Bridges is talking to the waitress that served Chris Pine and Ben Foster. Ben Foster, like, he goes solo to rob a bank next door while Chris Pine is just eating a steak. And this girl chats him up, and she's sweet, and she's not really hot, but she's kind of the hottest thing for 50 miles. But it's that kind of person. And she's interested in him because, you know, he's Chris Pine. He's the hottest looking thing in 200 miles. He leaves her a $200 tip. Obviously, it's stolen money. And so Jeff Bridges is interrogating this woman, and he finds out how much Chris Pine left her, and he's like, well, I'm gonna need that tip right there as evidence. And she's trying everything to be like, well, you don't know if he robbed the bank or not, so until you got a warrant, you can go ahead and just keep on walking by, and I'm gonna keep my tip that I used to pay half my mortgage.
Yeah.
And at that moment, the look on her face and the look on Jeff Bridges' face says everything. Can you honestly, like, find it in your heart to take the $200 from a woman who needs to pay her fucking mortgage? I mean, later you found out in the film that he did.
Yeah.
Which is actually funny in and of itself. But at the same time, it puts everything into perspective. As partisan as every politics debate puts it, these are people trying to live their lives as best as they can in a fucked up system. There's such a down-to-earth attitude about all of it that it works better as an emotional release, I think, than some other movies. Also draped in a really badass Western, and a really fun, inventive, smart crime drama. If you clicked on the time code, welcome back. This is our spoiler-free review. We're gonna give final thoughts and our scores out of 6 stars. So take it away, buddy.
When I got the screening tickets for this movie, I was like, oh, I forgot that's coming out. I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed this movie. Thought that performances were excellent across the board. The screenplay was fantastic. I'm going to give this, you know, I was when I came out, I was thinking of 4.5, but I'm gonna go 5 out of 6. I think this is one of the better movies I've seen this year. I've seen about 50 movies so far this year. I would highly recommend it.
This is a movie that, in a mediocre summer, in a summer full of dumpster fires, this is gonna be my takeaway from this summer. I fucking love this flick, and I'm gonna go 5.5. This film fucking kicks ass.
I get it.
I'm definitely interested in taking people to see what they get out of this.
Like our friend Barnyard and Matt and Brittany could unfortunately not make it tonight. Barnyard's probably playing Pokemon Go right now.
Matt is definitely playing Pokemon Go.
Matt is trying to find a legendary. They're not out yet, but he's looking.
Unless you're the hardest liberal in the planet and the sight of a gun makes you piss yourself, you'll dig this. If you like this video, please click the like button below to be the first to find out when new contents arrive. Click the subscribe button. We've got Facebook and Twitter pages down there too. Follow us for movie news and other random shit. I've got, as of I think it's as of Secret Life of Pets, I've officially got Liam's blog, liammgoggin.wordpress.com. He reviews a lot of the movies that we don't get to cover on After Credits, so for different perspectives, check him out. And for more ramblings that my fucking dumbass, Man Without a Plan, is down there as well.
Yeah.
We'll be back in a couple days with Jason Bourne, the 5th. Okay, why don't they just call it The Bourne Blank?
I have no idea.
The Bourne one-handed knockout. That'd be fucking dope.
The Bourne Betrayal.
Bourne 5. Fuck it. That's a personal peeve of mine when sequels just use the name of the main character. Like, what is it? Die Hard 6 is just gonna be called John McClane?
Yeah, Ethan Hunt.
Jesus.
Also, these two mofos are starting to get our press credentials, and we got invited to a press screening for South Side with You, the Obama movie.
The Obama love story. That is the weirdest subject I've heard this year.
It's like Before Sunset, but with cool black people.
Michelle Obama should have an action movie. Can you imagine that? Like her doing that Jason Bourne thing where like she's fighting a dude and she just gets him out with one knockout punch.
Yeah, she's just fighting obesity.
So she's like Wolverine in X-Men Origins where he's like punching the Blob and shit.
Yeah, except it's Chris Christie.
Ah! Shit, I want to write this script now. All right, I'm gonna go write this Michelle Obama Chris Crispy script. Krispy Kreme Christie.
Crispy critter critic.
Crispy woodland critters. Fuck it. Y'all have a good night. See ya.